I found the worst scene from every single Star Wars movie, and in this video, I'll be going over all of them. Now, some of these were tough picks, because even though Star Wars as a whole is awesome, there are still some scenes that are straight up garbage. But my challenge in this video is to narrow it down to one bad scene per movie, so without further ado, let's get into it. And because this video is going to be in chronological order, we're starting off with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. To me, The Phantom Menace has one scene in particular that stands out as the worst scene in the movie, a moment that introduced one of the worst characters, in my opinion, in all of Star Wars. And that was a scene where we met Jar Jar Binks. Now, if you like Jar Jar Binks, then you probably have no problem with this scene at all, because in your mind, it introduced one of the funniest characters in all of cinema. But I strongly dislike Jar Jar. I think he's annoying, unfunny, and unnecessary comedic relief. And worst of all, George Lucas felt the need to put him in all of the prequels and the Clone Wars TV show, so at a certain point, it's just too much. Okay, yeah, his role in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars was way smaller than in The Phantom Menace, but still, it's just the fact that he's there at all that pisses me off, you know? Anyway, in the scene that I'm talking about, Jar Jar is just standing there like a total schmuck on Naboo, about to get run over by some troop transport vehicles. And instead of doing us all a favor and letting that happen, Qui-Gon Jinn just has to be the hero and saves him from getting crushed. After that, Qui-Gon tries to get rid of Jar Jar, but Jar Jar just won't stop following him like the dope that he is, and that's how one of the most annoying characters in Star Wars got introduced. The scene itself isn't inherently that bad, but the problem is that it's the moment where Jar Jar becomes a main character in this movie, and therefore in all of Star Wars. Definitely my least favorite scene in The Phantom Menace. Coming up next is Attack of the Clones, and the worst scene from this movie comes down to either I don't like sand or I'm haunted by the kiss I should never have given. Both of these lines are some of the most mocked ones in cinema history, and for good reason. They're beyond cringy. Now, I'm just gonna say, boys, recently I have seen a little bit of revisionist history where people are saying that, oh, these moments are actually beautiful, and you're just a heartless moron who doesn't appreciate true love if you don't think so. And look, I'm glad you enjoyed them, I really am. But don't try to call me weird for thinking that these moments are both out of place and really awkward, because they frickin' are. And yeah, I know Anakin's just an awkward teenager who doesn't know what to say, that's why these lines happen. But come on, man, no one is this stupid in real life. Absolutely no one. I don't care how much you sit on your screen all day. No one. Regardless, I do have to choose one to be the worst scene, and I think I'm gonna go with I don't like sand. It's just too iconic, I have to. It's such an awkward moment that Padme looks so uncomfortable, and the best part is that it doesn't even mean anything. Like, it has no meaning behind it. When you break it down, Anakin is literally saying to Padme, I like you because you aren't sand. Now let us both bond over my unreasonable hatred for a mineral. Actually, this scene is the definition of love and beauty. Shut the frick up. Worst scene in Attack of the Clones. If you've been around the channel before, then you probably know that I hate the Clone Wars movie, and basically don't count it as a real Star Wars movie because it only exists to promote the Clone Wars TV show. So we're gonna move right to Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. This movie is the jewel of the prequels, by far the best of the trilogy, but it still has its share of bad scenes. I think the worst one though is the scene where Padme dies. The problem with this scene to me is that they have the worst reasoning for it ever. It's like, yeah, we live in a hyper-advanced society with the best technology ever, but this lady is just dying cause she lost the will to live. She's lost the will to live. Are you freaking joking? Lost the will to live? This lady just gave birth to twins, was conscious enough to name them and ask Obi-Wan to look after them, but then decided that, you know, staying alive to, I don't know, be a mom to her children was too much to ask. And the worst part is that you could have easily just explained it by saying that, you know, getting your throat crushed by Anakin was too much for her body and she couldn't take it. And then she died because of that, a little bit later. See how easy that was? It's a very valid reason to die, other than just, oh, she was just really sad. Lost the will to live. What a freaking stupid plot point. Holy cow, that makes no sense. Because this is in chronological order, the next movie is none other than Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, I actually don't hate this movie. I don't, but there were some pretty bad moments, I'll be honest. And the one that really stands out to me is the stupid droid liberation subplot. For some reason, one of the main characters in the movie is this droid that believed that droids needed to be free, so she spent a lot of the movie babbling on about that. And then when they're on Kessel in the spice mines, she frees all the droids and yells, "Rebellion!" really loud, and all it ends up doing is taking away from the main plot of the movie. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Jedwerd, you devilish rascal you, it sounds like you don't support droid rights in Star Wars. And you know what, my dear viewer, you should really hit that subscribe button because only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. It would really help me out. You are right. You are absolutely right. You're saying that droids, which at the end of the day are just machines created with the purpose of serving the people who made them, should be treated the same as actual humans created in the image of God? That makes no freaking sense whatsoever. Why would anyone create droids in the first place if they weren't meant to assist their makers? They literally aren't even alive. That is like the bare minimum for deserving equality. I don't think cars deserve rights either, but you don't hear anyone throwing a fit over that. Now, maybe in 50 years when AI has taken over and machines rule the world, I'll get put into a death camp for saying this about our robot overlords, but for now, I'm dying on this hill. This scene makes no sense, is not relatable, and is the worst scene in Solo. However, it is important to acknowledge that even though this scene is the worst scene in the movie, it does get just a little bit better if you can hear it clearly. And the best way to do that is with the sponsor of today's video, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Now look, I'm the kind of guy who's doing a lot of things, and whether I'm working out, or watching a movie, or just straight up vibing, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds are the perfect companion for me. They offer premium audio in every single situation, and their latest model is the best one yet, with phenomenal noise cancelling technology and a 32-hour battery life. Just for some context, you can watch every single Star Wars movie in a row with these earbuds and still have another 7 hours left to charge in them. That's how good they are. And then if you do want to charge them, they charge ridiculously quickly. I mean, just 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of use time. You don't even have to take them out of their protective case covers to charge them, which is so convenient, and the cases themselves have the coolest designs ever. Personally, the Dreamy Clouds case right here is my favorite, just because I love the color. I mean, you couldn't guess by the shirt, I'm a big purple guy, so I like the purple case, go figure. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, but Jedwerd, I can't afford those. I already invested all my money into a shared mutual fund managed by Warren Buffett himself. Wrong, you can afford these. Let me break it to you, they're actually very inexpensive. They start at just half the price of other premium audio brands. That is absolutely insane and such a bargain. And the best part is that Raycon already partnered with me to make them more affordable than they already are. All you have to do is click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/Jedwerd for up to 20% off site-wide. Yes, site-wide. That means if you want to get some other Raycon product, maybe headphones or something, the Jedwerd code still applies and you can still get 20% off on any product on the Raycon site. Just be sure to go to buyraycon.com/Jedwerd or click the link in the description below. It also directly supports the channel and me if you guys go check them out, so at least go give them a gander, see what you think, and maybe pick some up using the Jedwerd code. Thank you so much, boys, I really appreciate it, and thank you again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. And now let's get back to the worst scene from every Star Wars movie. Up next is Rogue One, and Rogue One is one of the great Star Wars movies of all time, in my opinion. It truly is a banger. I finally ended up landing on the scene where Grand Moff Tarkin meets with Director Krennic in the bridge of the Star Destroyer overlooking the construction of the Death Star. Now, the part where they're building the Death Star is actually sick. When we get to see the full scale of it and all that and how it's being put together, that is just epic. The part of this scene that's bad, in my opinion, is how they tried to CGI Grand Moff Tarkin together out of bits and pieces instead of just recasting him or getting a lookalike. He looks like a video game character, and personally, I just can't take it seriously. It also feels almost disrespectful to the guy they're trying to replicate, Peter Cushing, who is the original actor for Grand Moff Tarkin. There's a YouTuber called So Uncivilized, who I'm a fan of, even though he somehow releases fewer videos than Playboy Cardi does music. I mean, come on, bro, you make good content, just give it to us a little more, please. Anyway, So Uncivilized made a whole video about Rogue One, and specifically the issue of using deepfakes in movies like this. If you're interested, I'd really recommend going to check that out. I'll link it to you in the description below. As for this scene though, it's important to note that it's not even that bad. Rogue One is just such a good movie that there's not much else to choose from. That's my thoughts on the matter. We're finally entering the original trilogy now, and this scene is an iconic one. Greedo shooting first. Basically, if you don't know, George Lucas originally had Han shoot first in the original version of A New Hope. But when he remade it for DVD years later, he decided to go back and change it so that Greedo shoots first, and therefore it's self-defense when Han kills him. And this made the fans mad. I mean, like, you mess with the bull, you get the horns mad. I'm talking no more Mr. Nice Guy mad. They were not happy at all. And you know, for good reason. I mean, the entire point of George making this change is so that Han Solo didn't come across as a cold-blooded killer right as we're introduced to him. But that kind of defeats the purpose of Han Solo as a character, because Han was a scoundrel when we first met him, straight up. Only after the trilogy and he learns the value of, self-sacrifice and doing the right thing does he become a good guy. So at this point in his journey, it just makes sense that he would shoot first. It just does. And then on top of that, if Han doesn't shoot first, you then have to explain how the heck Greedo missed this shot. I mean, the gun was pointed right at him point blank and Greedo just choked. What a bum. Anyway, Han shot first, the new version of this scene sucks, and that's it. On to Empire. It is a challenge to find a bad scene in Empire Strikes Back, but alas, unlike LeBron's legacy, this video must eventually come to an end, so I've chosen the scene where Leia kisses Luke. And the reason for that is because there's not really a worse one, along with the fact that, come on man, she's kissing her brother for crying out loud, that's insane. Like, what terrible long-term planning. To me, this just shows that George Lucas must not have had that much of a plan going forward, because no one in their right mind would have intentionally made a sister kiss her brother just for cheap points in a minor squabble with Han Solo. Or that was the plan from the beginning, and George Lucas is just a sociopath. Who the frick knows? But Personally, I just think it shows lack of forethought. Also, similar to Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back is a masterpiece, and there's not that many bad scenes in it, so you gotta pick something, you know? Anyway, we're gonna move on now to the last of the originals, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was another hard one, but I settled on Boba Fett's death. Boba Fett somehow became really famous just from a few short scenes in Empire, and because of that, everyone expected him to become a really sick character for the last movie. Instead, what we got was a relatively short fight with Luke Skywalker, and then Han Solo accidentally knocking him into the Sarlacc pit. And that was it. That was the end of it. Oh, okay, fine. Technically, that wasn't it, given that almost 40 years later, we got a whole TV show showing that he did in fact survive the Sarlacc pit. And that TV show was hot garbage, but that's besides the point. At the time of this scene, Boba Fett was dead, and believed to be dead by the general audience, and a really lame death at that too. He died a really lame death. So I think this was the worst scene in the movie. I know a lot of you think that the Ewoks were worse, but to be honest, I never really minded them. I never thought they were cute or anything, but the whole guerrilla warfare thing that they had going was obviously a representation of, you know, America in Vietnam or America in the Middle East, where guerrilla troops of the native country are very easily able to repel better military with better technology, simply because they know the terrain and they have more consistent strategies for fighting in the terrain that they know. So I think that's a really cool analogy, and it shows that George Lucas wasn't just making a kids movie. He was really trying to tie in deeper socioeconomic things to the bigger world. That's a lot of words to say. I don't mind the Ewoks. Boba Fett's scene is worse, and we're gonna go on to the sequel trilogy. All right, from here on out, just be aware of the fact that there are a lot of bad scenes to choose from. So if I don't get your favorite, then I am sorry in advance. But for The Force Awakens, I ended up with Han Solo's death. To me, it was just a spit in the face of Star Wars fans in general. I mean, literally one of the most legendary characters in all of cinema, and what do they decide to do with him? What is the ultimate choices they end up making? They turn him into a loser divorced dad, flying around the galaxy, smoking weed in the Millennium Falcon with Chewie like Cheech and Chong, running away from all of his problems. And then before he can have basically any redemption whatsoever, he gets killed off by his own emo son. What a disgrace. Now yes, I am very well aware of the fact that Harrison Ford hated Star Wars and wanted Han Solo to get killed off. And hey, he is entitled to his own opinion. That man is a legend. I will not tolerate Harrison Ford's slander. But if that's truly how it feels, and he was only willing to return if he got killed off in this movie, then I just don't know why they brought him back at all. If the only way to get him back is to completely destroy all of his growth and turn him back into a selfish loser like he was in A New Hope, then just leave him out of it, man. Come on. I mean, just let him go. Because of that, I think his death is the worst scene in The Force Awakens, because of all the connotations it holds, and because of how obviously forced and rushed it was to get Han Solo out of there. Alright, getting towards the end now, and for The Last Jedi, I had to pick a fan favorite. I just had to. No, not the Battle of Krayt, no, not the Holdo maneuver. Don't get me wrong, those are all awful, but personally, I went with Luke drinking the green alien milk. To me, this just shows how far Luke Skywalker has fallen. The hero of the rebellion, the Jedi who would never give up, has now abandoned himself to die on a remote island when all of his friends need him most, all because of one mistake he made. That's what this scene means to me. Instead of doing the right thing, Luke is sitting here drinking green alien milk. And it gets even worse when you learn that Rian Johnson cut the scene of Luke finding out Han was dead in favor of this one. Like, really, man? You couldn't even let us see Luke mourning Han's death? It just pisses me off. It's genuinely, in my mind, disrespectful. I think it's actually a disgrace, but, you know, it is what it is. We got what we got. And we're on the last one now, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. There are so many bad scenes in this movie to choose from, and genuinely, I lost sleep debating which one to pick. I mean, not actually, it's just Star Wars, and I got a life to live, but still, you get my point. However, I did settle on one, and the worst scene in The Rise of Skywalker, and potentially all of Star Wars, depending on how you look at it, comes down to just 4 words. You know what? I'll let Poe himself tell you.
Say the line, Bart!
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yep, Episode 9 is this terrible scene with Palpatine coming back out of nowhere with no explanation, and it also has some terrible lightsaber fights. But if you want to see me rank those, you need to watch this video right here. It's long, but I promise it's worth it, and if you like this video, then I'm sure you like that one. Go check it out. Thank you so much for watching, have a good one, see you later boys, bye.